What is up, Star Wars fans? Welcome to the Star Wars Stop. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the latest Solo trailer. We're going to be picking it apart into little tiny pieces, every minute detail we're going to drag meaning out of, because that is what Star Wars fans do, that is what we do, and when we walk in to see the movie, we will practically have already seen the movie because of all the speculation and picking we've done on this trailer. Getting into it. This opening shot is probably the industrial planet Corellia or Mimban. The planet looks extremely dreary and kind of lame, so it's probably gonna be, a similar case with Luke Skywalker. So Luke Skywalker's origin was on Tatooine. It was lame, it was boring, he wanted to get the hell out of there, so he wanted to join the Imperial Academy. Guess what? Han Solo has a very similar story because he also is on a lame planet where he comes off in the streets, he didn't have much, and he's trying to join the Imperial Academy to get some adventure in his life. It's cool to see these Star Wars stories being constructed. The Empire is obviously in a big-time race to militarize the galaxy. They've just changed from the Republic into the Empire. This is not around the time of New Hope. This is set 10 years before New Hope, maybe more so in this scene. And the Empire needs to govern the entire galaxy. So they got to pump out Star Destroyers at this point. Typically in Star Wars, we've been told that large ships are built in space. Like in Rogue One, we saw the Death Star being built in space. But here we see them being built on the ground and then lifted into space, which actually makes 1,000 times more sense. It just seems like it'd be a way easier way to do things. And then obviously we see this little rat running across the thing, and that's just a cool little spin. I think that's kind of quickly establishing in your subconscious minds that this is going to be a very grimy, gritty movie. Enfys Nest is seen here, who is a female, extremely dangerous marauder, and this helmet, if you ask me, looks extremely Mandalorian-esque. So what does that mean? And there's a lot of mystery surrounding this character, even though we do know a little bit about her. I have a fan theory, and I really hope this ends up being someone that we know from the actual Star Wars universe. What if this is like Bo-Katan? Wouldn't that be cool? Some Mandalorian female we've already seen or known something about, because it just seems like they're being very secretive about this character. So it'd be interesting if there is some origin to her. Or maybe it's a completely new character. The crew behind her you see is the Cloud Riders. They're a swoop gang with legends, origins. They were kind of in a corny little comic from way back when, so I don't think they'll share a lot in common with that. This movie seems a little bit too gritty for that, but we'll see. And it's said that Enfys Nest will actually have a minor role in this film, but she is signed on for 2 more films, so we'll definitely see more of that character. We see a game of Sabacc with Lando. One thing, just a tiny thing, and I've heard a lot of my friends that are into Star Wars saying the same thing, and a lot of you guys. Basically, in all these new Star Wars movies, you want to see more, and myself including this, of the old aliens we've already seen. Now, it's cool that they keep on expanding the universe by making all these new aliens, but I want to see ones we've seen before sprinkled in. I want to see a Geonosian in the background. I want to see a freaking, Celestin there, Mon Calamari guy there. I want to see a Twilight dude chilling there. Just a couple stuff we've already seen before. Maybe a Zabrak. Just stuff we've seen to make the universe feel a little more familiar and immersive. So then, yeah, that's a little nitpick. But if you care, we do know the names of a couple of these guys. The guy on the right, his name is Therm Scissor Punch. He's a super cool dude. The guy on the left, his name is Argus Six Eyes Panax. Another very cool dude. One of these coins that Han pushes in seems to have a Mandalorian symbol on it, so that's pretty cool. He looks like he's gambled with all different kinds of currencies. Maybe he's roped together his cash from all different odd jobs, and he's kind of putting it all together to win the Falcon. Or maybe he took it from that Mandalorian-esque Enfys Nest earlier. Let's see what else. Okay, so in this shot here, Chewie and Han are looking at the Falcon. It seems like the first time they're seeing it, or maybe they just want it, perhaps. Because we notice, if you look closely, Han is wearing this big fluffy jacket, and that is very similar to the jacket we saw Lando wearing. And I am curious, did Han win the Falcon and that jacket in that game? Because that is a possibility, knowing how snarky Han can be. Here we see Woody Harrelson's character, Tobias Beckett. It says some big shot gangster is putting together a crew, and who he's referring to in that line is Paul Bettany's character, Dryden Voss. Now, this guy probably has no relation to our beloved Jedi Quinlan Voss, but just pointing out they have the same last name. Kira is apparently an associate of this dude, Dryden Voss. His face is super cut up, and you will see later on in the trailer he has some kind of blade weapon. And is it possible that that blade is responsible for those cuts? Something is. I wonder if maybe the guy that cut his face up, he got revenge on him and took that blade weapon from him. Possible. We get more shots of Vandor, which is the snow planet with the train heist takes place on. The train is called the Conveyex, and you can see if you look closely, Han's ship is in a tug of war with the Cloud Riders here. They have some kind of rope or wire attached to this cargo, and they're trying to pull it. And if you look again, there's this massive explosion. So is it possible that this heist goes bad and they actually end up dropping that cargo? That would be interesting. But I have a feeling they're going to get something out of it. So I don't know. I'm really not quite sure what that explosion could be. I don't know if the whole heist will go bad. But it does allude to me that maybe that cargo that they're hauling ends up crashing and burning. We do get a shot of Val, who is a longtime partner of Beckett. There's a lot of little side characters in this movie, so I'm interested to get to know more about them. Beckett gives his DL-44 to Han. We don't know if it's Beckett's DL-44, it's just a DL-44. I hope we don't get too many nods to like little things like, oh, this is why Han Solo has a stripe on his pants. This is why Han Solo wears a vest. It could get corny very quickly. If they keep it subtle and classy, I'm fine with it. Like, you know how we got the origin of Luke Skywalker's lightsaber in the prequels. Like, that was done well. I'm fine with that. But I don't want to see, like, every little detail explained. Then it could get kind of corny. We see a snowy lodge-like building with a freaking woolly mammoth skull on there. So, maybe there's a woolly mammoths or canon now. Probably still Vandor, the planet of the heist, because just it looks very similar. Lando delivers a super awesome classic line here. I'm really liking this this portrayal of Lando. As he's getting his drink from the bartender door, he's basically saying, everything you've heard about me is true. And Lando comes across extremely cocky, and as we all know, it's going to cost him in the end because he's going to be overconfident and he's going to lose the Falcon. His droid L3337 attacks someone in the bar. It seems like this could be a very, typically seems like they're getting away from the lame depiction of droids we got in the original trilogy, where C-3PO was kind of a bumbling butler. You got characters now like K2SO, who's like a badass droid. It seems like they're going the same route with L337. She actually kind of reminds me of HK-47 from Coder, just because of this bloodlust she seems to have. We know that she repairs and improves herself with droid parts of droids she's killed. It's kind of similar to how Grievous collects lightsabers from Jedi he's killed. We see a really beautiful shot of the Falcon. I think most people will agree with me that they absolutely nailed the design on the Falcon. It's familiar, yet sleek and modern with a really cool paint job, and it's just simply gorgeous and refreshing. We see a look of awe on Han's face. This could be the first time he actually sees the interior, or again, it could be right after he wins it or something. There's an excellent job with the design, and as you can see how clean and nice it looks. Han and Chewie are gonna have to put it through some works for it to get to where we see it in the original trilogy, how grimy it was. We see Lando and L3 acting cocky, again, acting very cocky. That's Lando, and again, we know that overconfidence is gonna cause him to lose the Falcon at some point. We see the new Stormtrooper variant called the Range Trooper. Their helmet seems very similar to the tank pilots from Rogue One. Hopefully, they will add that skin to Battlefront 2, because that would be really cool. Beckett tells Han to assume everyone will betray him, so he will never be disappointed. This is likely how the philosophy Han has in A New Hope developed. Okay, so this idea of, I'm in this for myself. He's always kind of putting out that persona before he eventually becomes the lovable guy that commits to the rebellion and commits to Luke and Leia. He was kind of out for himself, so this is kind of the origin story of how he became that character. Woody Harrelson's influence is kind of guiding him down that path. And over here we see the Falcon spotted over a very cool looking planet. Not sure which planet, probably Kessel because of what we know about Kessel, but could be anything. Val shoots a harpoon at the train, possibly at the train. She's shooting a harpoon, and we see that there's like a tug-of-war game going on earlier in the trailer between the cargo and Han's ship. So is that what she's doing here? Possibly. Then we see a really cool shot of an AT-ST type tank being deployed. It's not the AT-ST that we know from Return of the Jedi or other stuff. It seems to be a little bit different, a little bit more bulky for some reason. We see Chewie's wife, or possibly his son, who is canon, which is awesome. It seems that Chewie will need to leave this family so he can go and become a criminal with Han because of his life debt. I hope we really get to know Chewie in this film, because It looks like he gets a lot of screen time, and he has gotten a lot of screen time in other Star Wars movies, but we really don't know too much about him. We know that he's loyal and he's loving and he's, a good friend, but we don't really know anything about his motivation or where he comes from or who he is as a person. So I hope we get that out of this film, and I think we will. Here we see that tentacle monster and what could possibly be the Kessel Run. We are also seeing that there's only one turret on there. It's not the quad turrets that Han had installed. So it's just a little single shot blaster. And we also see that cool new TIE fighter variant again, that little more heavy duty, got an extra cannon on it. Chewie sits as a co-pilot for Han, and we do get to learn that his age is 190 years old. Now we know that Chewie was 200 by the time of the Battle of Yavin, so it's pretty safe to say this film is taking place a full decade before A New Hope. And it should also be noted that Wookiees live to be 400, so basically Chewie's going through his midlife crisis when he joins Han and becomes a criminal. We see an energy brass knuckle blade that I was talking about earlier. This is ridiculously cool. It seems like it has similar technology to what the Praetorian Guards used. Paul Bettany and Han are getting into a tussle in this scene. There's what looks like a Sith holocron or some type of holocron if you look closely on the right. I don't know if Paul Bettany is I doubt he's like a dark side user, but he's probably more of a collector, and that's how he got his hands on it. We see a fiery battle on what could be Minmon, and we also see the Mud Stormtrooper variant, and we see the soldiers seem to be next to a downed walker leg, so somebody managed to take out one of those AT-STs we saw earlier. We see Chewie completely annihilate this poor dude. This could be when Chewie is still a slave, because it kind of looks like he's not wearing his harness right here. Maybe he's getting pissed off at his handlers and crushing their skull. We never have really seen Chewie do an assault this crazy in the movies, although there's a deleted scene where he literally rips someone's arms off if you want to check that out. But this is the most brutal thing we've seen Chewie do in an actual Star Wars movie, for sure. Now, overall thoughts on the trailer, done with the breakdown. I'm glad that they were able to show so much footage, and I still have so many questions. I don't feel like I've seen the movie, actually, which is hard to do when you're trying to make a trailer that shows a lot and gets people excited. It's hard to not communicate so much that I feel like I've already seen the movie, and I feel like a lot of movies are doing that lately, so I'm glad that they didn't fall into that trap. I don't want to go into the film with the checklist of expectations. I want to be surprised. That's the best thing of any movie. It's when you're surprised. What's your favorite moment in Star Wars? Probably when Darth Vader says, "I am your father," right? Because it surprised you. It made you like, what? Wait, what? You know what I'm saying? That's the best movie moment. So I hope that they're able to pull that off. Overall, this film seems like a really fun Western-esque ride, and it will be the first Star Wars film not to revolve around opposing factions. You know what I'm saying? It's not about Rebels versus Empire, First Order versus Resistance, Republic versus Separatists. This is about some criminals having a cool, fun heist, and it's the first time Star Wars has done something like this. And some of the best old Star Wars content, like to point out maybe like an old game like Republic Commando. That's about a commando squad. So different, right? This movie is about smugglers. Interesting, different. Now I hope, we're going to get a movie about bounty hunters. Just something different, because the Star Wars universe is very vast and there's so much room to explore. While the Empire is obviously going to be in this film, they're going to serve kind of a backseat role in my opinion. They're not going to be the primary foe that Han and the crew are going up against. It's a gray area film. It sure is. It's about smugglers. It looks like the grittiest Star Wars yet, and I'm super excited to get into the theater and get my eyes on this film, because based on what I've seen in this trailer, it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. But you guys let me know what you think. Are they nailing it? Is this what you guys want to see? Did I miss anything? Let's discuss this and pick this to pieces in the comment section, so by the time we sit down in the theater, we literally have already seen the movie. But that is it for this video, guys. Be sure to rate, like, comment, subscribe. Stay tuned for tons and tons of Star Wars content. Have an awesome day.